Well, good morning, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you with a reading update. This will be a Sunday reads since I didn't get it done on Friday or Saturday. I apologize for that. Last Saturday, some exciting news here. I had, at the end of my video, I had said that in celebration of the 900 subscriber mark, I was going to do a book giveaway. And the book that I was going to give away is Catastrophe 1914, Europe Goes to War by Max Hastings. And this is, I picked this up at the World War I Museum in Kansas City. I bought it out of the gift shop. So it's a brand new book, never been read before, in really good shape. So we are going to do a drawing at the end of this video, and we will see who will get that book. And all you'll have to do is, if your name gets drawn out of the hat, then all you'll have to do is email me. I leave my email at the in the description of every video, and so just email me with your address and stuff, and I will get that mailed off to you in the next week. So I'm real excited about that. So we will do that at the end of this video. Before I get to the books that we read this week, just wanted to tell you a little bit about life in general. So this last week we just got done with our second to last week of middle school boys basketball. And we had 2 games, and on Monday night last week, we won big. I think it was 42-6. We held them scoreless for 3.5 quarters. We have a pretty good 7th grade squad, and they did real well in that game. And they always do well. Both of my squads, 7th and 8th grade, have been doing really well this year. My 8th grade group has just grown by leaps and bounds, and they just keep progressively getting better and better. And it's just been a lot of fun to watch them, to see them, to see the growth, and just know that in the future, in the very near future, they're going to start. They're going to do some big things, and I'm really excited about that. And then that 7th grade group just as well. They are a very, very good squad, and it's going to be exciting to see how far they go, especially when they get into high school and you combine them with the other, the other 3 grades. It's just going to be a lot of fun basketball to watch. So we went to one of our rivals on Tuesday for the second game last week, and we split with them. My 7th grade squad won by 2 points and won 34-32, did real well. I was very, very proud of them because it was a pretty tight ball game right at the end, and they took care of the ball. I was happy to see that. And then my 8th grade squad followed up, and they lost their game, but massive improvement. So, like last year, that squad got beat by, I think it was 30, and it was just a runaway game right off the get-go. We struggled. We'll just keep it at that. And then this year, at halftime, we had a ball game, and that was really nice to see. We ended up losing by, I think, 13 overall, but just the incredible growth that they've made, and to see how well our defense played against a pretty potent offense. The team we were playing had just a lot of ginormous players. They were bigger than, almost all of them were bigger than our guys. And so we played really well considering. And so anyway, that was basketball. We got 1 game this week tomorrow on Monday to finish up our season. And and then we'll go into Christmas break. So that gets me to what we're doing in school. We got Christmas break coming up. We got a half day early out on Wednesday, and then we are on break till, I think, teachers come back on January 4th, and the kids will come back on the 5th, or we come back on I can't remember what that Monday is. We come back on that Monday for professional development, and then the kids will be back the following Tuesday. So we're going to get a nice, week and a half break there. So anyway, at school, probably the biggest highlight for me is the food. Every every year around Christmas, all the teachers for lunch will bring in, a few teachers each day. A different set of teachers will bring in food, and so I have been able to partake in some really good food. You had, like meatballs, little smokies, chili. What else did we have? Tacos. We had all kinds of stuff. I know I'm missing stuff, but it was really good eating. The only problem there is that I like to eat too much, and I know I'm going to have to hit the exercise bike because my anyway, we'll just keep it at that. But around the house, we've really been working on getting Christmas all ready. We've actually got like 99% of it done like 2 weeks ago. My wife got the tree up, and my youngest daughter got to help decorate. The stockings are up. The presents are all bought and wrapped, and anything that we get from this point on is just like icing on the cake. And we even put out, we got a string of Christmas lights on the house, and then we got a little blow up penguin, which last week I hate to say it, but some jerk kept come and cut the cord on it. And, that's kind of frustrating when you spend that, we spend a little bit of money on a decoration like that. And for me, it's not really for me. I could honestly care less if that little blow up, penguin is out there, but my 4-year-old really, really enjoys it. And so that was kind of a jerkish thing to do. We'll just keep it at that. So anyway, yesterday I spent the day, and I don't have a whole lot of tools at my house, and so I bought a pair of wire strippers, and stripped that and tied all the wires together and black electrical tape. So I got it all rigged up, and now it's ready to go, and it's working. So that was good to have that happen. And I know my daughter's really excited about Christmas. She's been doing the Advent thing, and we've got a Bible storybook for the 25 days up till Christmas, and it tells a different Bible story. So every night we've been reading that, and that's been very, very enjoyable. And what was it? A couple of days ago, they got to doing the Christmas cookies, and so they got a bunch of sugar cookies, and my 4-year-old just absolutely loves to decorate cookies. And so her and grandma were doing that, and my wife was in the kitchen getting them all cooked up, and then all the dough and all that kind of stuff. And then what was it? It was probably 4 or 5 days ago, maybe a week ago, I can't remember, but they built gingerbread houses, and I'll try to remember to put a picture up there. But they had a lot of fun doing the gingerbread houses. So so at our house, we're pretty well set for Christmas. We're just waiting on the day to get here, waiting for the Christmas break. So anyway, that would bring me to, let's look at, first let's just talk about what I've been reading right fast. And so I finished God Rest You Merry Soldiers, a true Civil War Christmas story. I finished that the other morning, and it was just a little short book, and it just talked about the Civil War Christmas during the Civil War. I enjoyed it. I mean, probably wasn't my favorite, but I mean, it wasn't bad at all. So got that completed. That has been sitting on my by my lampstand there. Been reading on, excuse me. I finished the Stephen King, behemoth that I have been reading, Under the Dome. It was 1,074 pages long. Good book. And if you're not familiar with it, kind of just briefly, one day in this town in Maine, this dome forms over this town, and it's like a force field almost, and you can't go in or out of the town, and nobody knows how it got there. And it causes all kinds of havoc. And so you can imagine the environmental issues that would happen if you had a trapped dome and essentially pretty much no air can get in or out. A little bit, but not enough to really do anything. So when you're burning, and there was in the story, it's set right around October, so it's supposed to be cooling off, and you can imagine anytime you're wood burning stove or whatever, it's going to get trapped if you anything that you're putting into the air is going to get trapped in there. And so it's got an environmental message to it about how we need to, take care of our environment, or else this will happen. It's got, of course, good versus evil. When people asked me about it, I kind of compared it to Lord of the Flies, when those kids got trapped on the island, and kids go back to human nature, and survival, and good versus evil and all that kind of stuff. That's a little bit like what the dome was, Under the Dome was like. And so I found it to be a pretty good book. I wish that Stephen King didn't swear as much in his books. I understand every once in a while, but it seems like he does a lot of cussing in his books. And the older I get, the more it bothers me. It didn't bother me when I was younger, but it kind of bothers me now. And so I wish that didn't happen, because you could tell the same story without the language. But anyway, of the 1,074 pages in that book, I enjoyed about 1,050. The part about the dome, I don't want to be a spoiler here, but not believable. I mean, you had a really good storyline going with lots of characters that have got a lot of interplay back and forth. He builds up his characters fairly well, but I struggled with the dome itself. And when he explains that and ties that into the story, he made this story become very, very not real. And so anyway, there was a point where I could imagine myself in there. And then when it got to those 24, 25 pages where it talks about, and I don't know if that's the total number, it was an extremely small amount of pages that actually talk about what started the dome, how it comes to be. Not believable. It almost made me feel like I wasted my time. And I've been reading this as my SSR book since September, I think, is when the end of September is when I picked it up, maybe September 28th. So I've been reading a little bit here, a little bit there every day in school with our SSR time, which is like 20 minutes of silent reading. So I can read about 10 pages a day. And that part was a little bit disappointing. But anyway, the book that I am really hammering on right now, that I am going to most likely get finished by Wednesday. It might be Thursday, but I'm pretty sure Wednesday is Frederick Douglass, Prophet of Freedom by David Blight. Real excited about this book. This book is so good. Won the Pulitzer Prize in, what was it? Was it 2 years ago, I think? If you have not read this book, it is phenomenal. It is fabulous. I really, really enjoy it. And it's a big, thick one, so you're going to have to, it's got 892 pages altogether, 762 pages of actual text. So, it's a chunky monkey. It's going to take you some time, but it's been very, very well worth it in our buddy read. There's 4 of us in a buddy read on this, and we have all enjoyed this. We've had good conversation going back and forth on Voxer. But anyway, I should be finishing this midweek, and kind of just depends on maybe what we do today. And at the house, we might be getting out just to go get out and do something. And so it might be Thursday, but I'm shooting for Wednesday. So anyway, once that's done, the second half of the week, I am going to knock out Brian Kilmeade's The President and the Freedom Fighter, Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass in their battle to save America's soul. I've started this. I have not read very much. I'm on chapter 4. It's been just sitting over there. Nothing against the book. I've just been working on these, that Under the Dome and Frederick Douglass. I've been working on those, and it's taking forever, just because they're so big. I've been enjoying them. It just takes a while. But anyway, enough rambling here. So let's get to the new books that came in this last week. Matter of fact, last Saturday, I told you I got a new Hot Wheel, but I didn't have it because I thought my wife had wrapped it up and stuck it in my stocking. Lo and behold, when I brought that up, there it is. She said she had not done it yet. And so there's your 1965 Ford Mustang convertible. See that nice dark red color? Oh, what a sweet, sweet car. If you're new to the channel, I think I've told the story before that my very first car that I bought with my own money, my parents helped me get the loan, they just signed on it, but I paid for all of it with my own money, was a 1965 Ford Mustang. It was a midnight blue. It was not a convertible. That would have been pretty sweet. It was just, regular car. But I have loved Mustangs. I don't know how long. And my parents, my dad saw that on one of the car lots and said, "Hey son, have you seen this?" And so we went and we bought that when I was a kid. So ever since, especially in the last several years, my collection of Hot Wheels for Mustangs has, kind of went up. So anyway, there's that car I didn't have available last week during that video. I did get some magazines in the mail, and so I wanted to show you those. I got the new Smithsonian, December 2021, and it has on the front, it says some of the key articles: Native Americans whose lives depend on the Alaska wildlife. I remember Steve Donahue talking about that and how he didn't really like that because they're not really depending on the wildlife because they've got a very modern life that they're living. But anyway, I haven't read it yet. Gonna get to it. But this is, and then the second one is The Legacy of the Angel of the Battlefield, Clara Barton. I'm really excited to read that. My daughter had done a History Day project several years ago, and Clara Barton was her key figure that she was looking at in her life and how she helped people. And so I've always had kind of a key interest ever since then in Clara Barton. The Pungent Rise and Fall of True Blue Heritage Cheese. Interesting. And then on the front cover, Copper and the King, how new archaeological evidence from 3,000-year-old mines relates to the Bible's account of Solomon. So we'll see how those go. I'm real excited, like I said, about that Clara Barton article. So there's the Smithsonian. Yesterday I got in the mail, and I got to have a talk with the mail people because this thing was like stuffed in my mailbox. And look at this. This bugs me. I don't know if it bugs you, but you see the split right there? It's kind of, I'll bend it just a little bit so you can see it. See that split? My magazine got torn up a little bit while getting stuffed into the mailbox, and it kind of irks me because I hang on to all of my magazines because they're history related. I come back to them for class. I use them as reference material for the kids if they're ever looking at a topic, and so it bugged me. But anyway, this is the World War II magazine, and it's from February of 2022. And on the front cover, we've got Death of a U-Boat, how a captain's reckless decision doomed U-352. And I am not familiar with that, so I'll learn some new stuff. And then it has other articles. What War Taught Legendary NFL Coach Tom Landry. I think that might be pretty interesting. And One Soldier's Cruel Journey from Prison Camp to Hell Ship. So there is the new World War II magazine. And if you're not familiar with these magazines, they are wonderful. They've got articles that have got black and white photos and full color photos, and they take a whole range of stuff. In this particular case, World War II stuff, but they've also got HistoryNet also offers like Civil War. They used to have an American Revolution. I don't think they have that one anymore, but they've got like aviation. I want to say they've got a naval one. Oh, I'll never remember. Anyway, they've got a whole range of magazines that are available, and they're always done by really good authors. And I would highly recommend you to pick these up. And only, they're short articles, not super short, but short enough you can read them all in one sitting and just really enjoy them. But you've got articles that deal with anything from, like on the front page where we see the U-boat. We've also got stuff on some of the airplanes. And for a guy like me, I honestly, I'm not a World War II whiz, so I learn a lot when I read these. There's a lot of stuff that I pick up on. And then, of course, at the end, they have a book section. So they talk about the newest books that are out, and they'll kind of spotlight, 4, 5, 6 different books that are out. And then, of course, they'll have advertisements for other books. And so I really enjoy that because it opens my eyes to some of the new, the new titles that are out. But anyway, highly recommend World War II magazine if you're a World War II nut. And then this one I picked up at Books Revisited, and then the next 3 books I also picked up at Books Revisited. But this was for free. This was an American Heritage magazine. It's a little bit older. It's October of 2000, but you can't go wrong with these American Heritage magazines. I try to pick them up when they're free. I try to pick them up, and I take them for my classroom and for me. Just a lot of good stuff that's in there. So. That was a new one. It looked like, what is that? Is that the Transcontinental Railroad? Yes, it is. So the featured article is Stephen Ambrose on the Big Road, the Transcontinental, the greatest engineering feat of the 19th century. And of course, Stephen Ambrose wrote that fabulous book of his, and I'm going to go blank on the name, but it's all about the Transcontinental Railroad. I thought it was very well done. I learned a lot from reading it anyway. So I got last Saturday, I think it was, we went to St. Joe, and I was able, while my wife was that when she got her haircut? I think she got her haircut then. I was able to go over to Books Revisited, and I picked up 3 books. So here is my first one. This is James Madison by Richard Brookheiser, and I like Richard Brookheiser. His writing's a little bit slower. I mean, typically, it's not something I recommend to somebody who's just getting into history, but if you are well versed in history, I would recommend his stuff. I hate to use the word drier, but it is a little bit drier read, but it's very good. It's very, very well done. And if you're not familiar with Richard Brookheiser, there's a picture that he puts in all of his books. So let me read this front cover to you. And it's a little bit small, so you'll have to kind of bear with me. In James Madison, eminent biographer Richard Brookheiser presents a vivid and penetrating portrait of America's smartest, toughest, and wiliest founding father. James Madison, theorist and intellectual, is known as the father of the Constitution, for he more than any other man got it written and ratified. He called for the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia in 1787. He attended every session, took notes on every speech so future generations would understand how the government had been made. He led the fight for ratification in his native Virginia, the nation's largest and most important state, co-authored the Federalist Papers, and still cited by pundits and judges today, and shepherded the Bill of Rights through the first Congress. But he was also, as Brookheiser shows, the father of politics, creating many of the concepts and institutions that surround us today. He formed working partnerships with other leaders such as Washington, Hamilton, and Jefferson, and founded the first American political party, ancestor of the Democratic Party. He pioneered partisan journalism and the study of popular opinion. He belonged to the first political machine, the Virginia dynasty, and he married the first political wife, the lovely and charming Dolly Madison. After winning the presidency, he guided America to the America to victory in the difficult and controversial War of 1812, becoming the last president to lead troops in battle. A celebrated biographer and historian of the founding era, Richard Brookheiser reaches deep beneath the veneer of history to explore Madison's rich and surprising life, shedding new light on not just on the foundational figure, but also on the origins of America itself. And I like these little biographies like this. They're usually pretty easy to get through. This one's like total of 287 pages, and text wise it's only 250 pages, so this is like a real quick read and pretty enjoyable. So that was one book I picked up. The next book is probably the one that I'm most excited about. I thought this was absolutely awesome to find, and it's from the Modern Library paperback. I didn't tell you, hold on just a second. This Richard Brookheiser book is a 2011 book from Basic Books. Sorry about that. But this book, you can see the front cover there. This is Theodore Roosevelt's writings. It's from the Modern Library paperback. It's called Hunting Trips of a Ranchman, and the Wilderness Hunter. So it's by Theodore Roosevelt, it's the writings of his. And then there's an introduction by Stephen Ambrose. And, oh, nope, that's not the name of it. Anyway, it's by Stephen Ambrose. And, real excited to pick this up. I love learning about Roosevelt. He is a very interesting figure in history. This book, this modern library paperback, came out in 1998. So, very interesting guy. Back cover says, written during his days as a ranchman in the Dakota Badlands, these two wilderness tales by Theodore Roosevelt endure today as part of the classic folklore of the West. The narratives provide vivid portraits of the land as well as the people and animals that inhabited it, underscoring Roosevelt's abiding concerns as a naturalist. Originally published in 1885, Hunting Trips of a Ranchman chronicles Roosevelt's adventures tracking a 1,200-pound grizzly bear in the pine forests of the Bighorn Mountains. In asides as compelling as the hunt, Roosevelt muses on the beauty of the Badlands and the simple pleasures of ranch life. The Wilderness Hunter, which came out in 1893, remains perhaps the most detailed account of the grizzly bear ever recorded, an intensely personal portrait of the man who would be president. So, anyway, pretty excited about that. I like Roosevelt, so I'm going to dig into his writings. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever. He wrote a whole bunch of books. Roosevelt was a prolific writer, but I haven't actually read any of his books. As much as I like him, that does not make sense, does it? Upstairs in the upper room, I've got several of his books that I've collected over the last several years, and I just have yet to partake in them. So this, who knows, maybe this will be the first one I try. All right, so the last one, and this will, go out to you World War II fans, you British history fans. Found this, and I don't have a ton of books on Churchill, and so I thought this would definitely, couldn't hurt anything. But this is Churchill, A Life by Martin Gilbert. Okay. And like I said, I have not read any biographies on Churchill. Now, before you judge me, keep in mind, I am more early American history, not the World War II era. I read a little bit in that, but I mainly study early American history up to the Civil War. So that would be why. This comes from a Holt paperback, Henry Holt and Company out of New York, and it was published in, 1992. This one was from 1992. And so like I said, I have not read a Churchill biography. Is this worth it, BookTube? I only paid, what did I pay? $2 for this, I think. So was that a good buy? Have any of you actually read this book? Tell me what you think, and tell me what you think of any of these books. So that brings us to the very last part of the video, the part that I hope everybody stuck around that put their names in the drawing last week. And so Scott at the Bookish Bryant, Matt R., Nancy Iggy, hopefully I'm saying these right. I apologize if I'm not. Alicia Abruzis, Todd's BookTube, Tina Bowerly, I'm not sure how to say that. I apologize again. Bennett the History Fella, and Andy Taylor. So what I did was I put all the names on strips of paper. I've got the hat that we're going to draw them out of. Okay, my hair's not too poofy from waking up this morning. That was a worry of mine. But anyway, we'll shake these up, shake them up, shake them up, shake them up, and draw out one. And Todd's BookTube. So Todd, shoot me an email. Actually, I have your email. Maybe I'll shoot you an email first. But anyway, get a hold of me. Let me see your address, and I will send this book out to you. Again, Catastrophe 1914, Europe Goes to War by Max Hastings. And, I'm going to send that out to Todd's BookTube. He won the drawing, and It's basically a big old thank you for helping me hit 900 subscribers and, see the channel continue to grow little by little. I've really enjoyed doing all these booktube videos. My kids at school recently found my channel. So I had a handful of them subscribing, and yeah, that's been a really funny experience. Did you realize that kids think that if you upload a YouTube video that you're automatically making thousands of dollars? Yeah. Anyway, we've had quite the interesting conversation on that. And I had to burst their bubble and let them know I haven't made a penny on this channel. But anyway, it was just a funny conversation over the last week or two. But thank you, Todd, for putting into the drawing, and thank you to all of the new subscribers. I hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and hope you're getting in lots of reading. Hope you're going to have a great week here. I can't wait till Christmas, so I hope you're the same. So anyway, until next time, BookTube, happy reading.